Maria Meyer here. On behalf of our amazing 20-person powerhouse board and our small but mighty staff and next-gen leader interns, we ask you to please make yourselves at home because this truly is your Women's Fund Miami-Dade. I'm at your service today and every day, ready to walk with you through this event and then onward to work with you afterwards on our collective mission. This is the active listening portion of Power of the Purse, and as leadership is one of our 4 main pillars, who better than an esteemed, long-time Women's Fund participant and supporter to get this party started? Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, please lead the way.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Power of the Purse. This is the Women's Fund Miami-Dade's 2021 year, putting on this extraordinary event. I haven't missed a single one. I've been lucky enough to have been involved with this organization since the very beginning, founded by my wonderful Shiro, Marilyn Gladstone, with a group of very concerned women after Hurricane Andrew that shook our community to the core. And since then, I have had the great good fortune to be a donor, a grant recipient, a partner, and a big fan of this wonderful organization of women helping girls and women throughout our community. For years, the Women's Fund of Miami has led the way in creating change for women through advocacy, investment, and an unrelenting commitment to the 4 pillars of leadership, economic mobility, health and well-being, and freedom from violence. I've participated in all those initiatives. Today, for all of you in attendance, you will get to hear from an extraordinary group of women, led off by Jane Fonda, Cedella Marley, Aja Monet, and V, otherwise known as Eve Ensler. And let me tell you that Eve, who wrote and invented the Vagina Monologues, a definitely breakthrough production, I was so inspired, as was my daughter, at the time a freshman in college, who made it her first production to put on Vagina Monologues in her college in her freshman year. So I've been asked to talk to you today a little bit about the importance of leadership and providing greater opportunity for women in our community to step into positions of influence in their respective fields, whether politics, healthcare, childcare, banking, you name it, every single sphere. And I think the best place to begin is highlighting how important it is for the work we do today that we bring up the next generation of women leaders. So while all of us work in these different professions and come from an array of backgrounds, all of us can think back to those women who've made a big difference in our lives and who've truly been the mentors who've encouraged us and spurred us on. For me personally, growing up, my mother and my 2 grandmothers were my Shiros. They taught me so many invaluable lessons, from the importance of service, perseverance, integrity, hard work, and appreciating beauty. And I can say with conviction that it would not have been possible for me to be elected the first woman mayor of Miami-Dade County, but for the guidance that they provided me throughout my early years. They always believed in me, and they always stressed that I could achieve my highest dreams. So whether you know it or not, there is, I know, a girl, a young woman out there today watching you, looking up to you, and wanting to be like you. So this gives us all the personal responsibility to be leaders in our own right and to embody the values that the Women's Fund of Miami-Dade works so hard to advance in each and every day. So not only will our actions today help nurture the next generation of women leaders in our community, but it will also ensure that our community is more prosperous and inclusive for everybody, because women do really lead the way. This last year of our lives has demonstrated this reality. Whereas in the past, qualities like compassion, generosity, and thoughtfulness may have been seen by some to be weaknesses, the toll of this pandemic has made it amply clear that these are the very qualities that we need to get through difficult times. We need more, not less, of these qualities in our leaders. So to put it succinctly, that is the proof positive that we need more women in positions of power. And while there is a lot for each of us to do that can advance this goal, there is an important job that we can take to inspire and to create the faith in young women across the community that they can be part of this change. It has been said that desire is the starting point for all achievement, and that faith is what helps us to see our goals through to their completion in the face of life's inevitable hardships. That is certainly true for me. Let us start with faith that we can get through it. So I leave you with one thought today, among all others, that there is a young woman looking up to you today and doing so because of her desire to be like you. And through your deeds and your words, you can help instill that faith in her, that she can grow up to achieve anything that she sets her mind to. This is the power that each of us holds, and there has never been a better time in history for each and every one of us to take that seriously and to do everything we can to pursue that power in society, for women to work together, no matter where they're coming from, to achieve that greatness. My personal mission is talent scouting for world benefit. To everyone who's listening, I am eager to lift up that talent to benefit the world. And if each one of us takes on one other, each one teach one, we will change the world for the better. Thank you so much.
Service providers, you know who you are. I'm not going to name you all because I can't, but I invite everybody to think, what would this town look like if we didn't have the leadership of organizations like Lotus House Village, the YWCA, PACE, Leap for Ladies, Girls Inc. I don't even know what this would look like. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's talk about grant making. Let's talk about what grants have been and grants can and will be. The Women's Fund Miami-Dade, a herstory.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marilyn Gladstone, founder of the Women's Fund of Miami-Dade. Our story began in 1988 with the realization that less than 5% of national philanthropic dollars were going to programs which directly benefited women and girls. Clearly, our community needed a gender-specific organization. With guidance from the Women's Funding Network, we began our work. Steering committee of 13 committed women, reflecting the diversity of our community, met weekly to develop our goals and mission. Just incorporated in 1992, Hurricane Andrew catapulted us into grant making. With $5,000 from our board member, Evelyn Cohen, we gave 5 grants to 5 of the most impacted organizations. We were aware of the deep needs of these and other organizations from our community-wide survey. It was a difficult decision and our contribution was small, but the impact was great. Since then, we have raised and granted millions of dollars together with community partners and supporters. Lotus House, Urgent Inc., and Casa Valentino all got their first grants from your Women's Fund. Those are just a few of the excellent organizations and programs which have received funding from the Women's Fund you are all supporting today. The leadership of the Women's Fund is focused on transformational grant making, supported by a new research component. We are surveying the community and will be collaborating with all our partners to improve the lives of women and girls in Miami. Sadly, the national outlook is quite bleak. The Women and Girls Index currently indicates only 1.6% of philanthropic funding is dedicated to programs directly supporting women and girls. We must do better. We will do better. With your help, the Women's Fund of Miami-Dade will keep our women and girls safe, healthy, and focused on a productive future. They are our future.
Thank you for being a part of our vision and our mission.
And speaking of leaders, here to share our latest and greatest updates and plans, please welcome our board chair, the dedicated, the one and only Gloria Romero Rosas.
Good afternoon. My name is Gloria Romero Rosas, and I'm the board chair of the Women's Fund of Miami-Dade. It's my pleasure to welcome you, Miami-Dade's executives, business owners, nonprofit leaders, public officials, young professionals, and philanthropists to our annual Power of the Purse convening. While it's unfortunate that we cannot be together physically, the gathering of nearly 1,000 like-minded people with a common goal is no less powerful via Zoom. And with the recent conclusion of Women's History Month, I cannot think of a better time to come together, even virtually. I'd like to take a moment to briefly share some background and updates about your Women's Fund of Miami-Dade for the many new and old friends joining us today. For over 28 years, the Women's Fund has worked tirelessly to improve the lives of women and girls. We've provided nearly $4 million of funding to support 500 programs serving over 75,000 women and girls throughout the county. Moving forward, it's clear we need to face the ongoing challenges and aftermath of the pandemic's disproportionate devastation on women and girls with both data and determination. We are focusing our efforts on creating change through initiatives that generate sustainable impact in our 4 pillars of economic mobility, leadership, health and well-being, and freedom from violence. If you're wondering about why we call these our pillars, allow me to provide some staggering but insightful statistics. With regard to economic mobility, on average, white women earn 78 cents on the dollar to white men. Black women earn 61 cents, and Hispanic women earn a mere 55 cents on the dollar. And 1 in 5 women in Miami-Dade live in poverty. Let me say that again. 1 in 5 women in Miami-Dade live in poverty. For leadership, while Miami ranks number 3 in the nation for the number of women-owned firms, there remains a lack of resources to grow these firms. Additionally, although more than 1 million women are eligible to vote, in Miami-Dade, less than 300,000 voted in the last presidential election. Sadly, 1 in 3 girls are afraid to lead. Health and well-being, another pillar, because unfortunately, Florida ranks an astounding number 32 in the country. Further, women, particularly low-income or women of color, are at special risk of specific health conditions and typically incur greater healthcare costs than men. Finally, everyone deserves freedom from violence. Yet, on average, 24 women per minute are victims of intimate partner violence. 1 in 3 women will experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. And 1 in 3 girls will experience childhood sexual abuse. These are not mere statistics. Friends, these are the lives of women and girls we interact with every day in our community, and the reasons these 4 pillars are rooted in our grand mission as we push ahead with our Way Forward plan. Our Way Forward plan honors the Women's Fund of Miami-Dade's 28-year legacy of philanthropy and collaboration by advancing a new strategy grounded in data that allows our community to follow progress for women and girls year over year. We are reigniting a grant-making role that invests in results-driven organizations, and combined with advocacy and public awareness campaigns, we will drive our grand mission to realize a vision of a world where power and possibility are not limited by gender. I am reminded of J.K. Rowling's quote, "We do not need magic to change the world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already." Nothing could be truer as I work alongside an amazing group of leaders who are powering the Women's Fund of Miami-Dade today. We recently appointed 9 new board members, bringing the total board to a powerhouse legion of 20 women. I want to take a moment to personally express my deep appreciation for you, my fellow board members, and our amazing staff in the virtual room today. You are an incredible and diverse group of talented and influential women who have committed to our grand mission at a critical time for Miami-Dade. All of you represent the best of our community, and I am proud to be an impact agent alongside you. And yet, despite this amazing legion, we need all of you here with us today. We invite you to join our legion by becoming an impact agent. By joining, you will know you are driving this grand mission alongside us to realize that vision of a world where power and possibility are not limited by gender. By becoming an impact agent, you will help us make Miami-Dade a place where women and girls can truly thrive. Please scan the QR code you see on the screen and register now. 2021 is a pivotal year for our community, and with this powerful team of leaders, we're ready to link arms with you to lead the way forward with our community partners, because quite simply, we are stronger together. As I conclude, I want to remind you that we have a limited online auction. Many items have been donated by women entrepreneurs, so please shop with a purpose today, as our partners will be donating a portion of the proceeds to support our grand mission. I leave you with this. When women are strong, families are strong, communities are strong, the economy is strong, and our country is strong. The world is strong. Women Strong is world strong. Thank you again for joining us. Enjoy your afternoon.
Since 1903, the Miami Herald has covered the rich and diverse place that we call home. We are your watchdog, keeping an eye on government. We've been there through tragedy and triumph, bringing you critical information during emergencies and supporting the community that has always supported us. With strong, independent local journalism, no matter how rapidly things change, our commitment to you remains the same. Then, now, and always, your Miami Herald.
And now to introduce our special guest speaker about our health and well-being pillar, it is my grateful pleasure to welcome WSVN Channel 7's own Lynn Martinez. Lynn, thank you and welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. Lynn Martinez here from WSVN Channel 7. I'm so happy to be here with you right now at the Power of the Purse for 2 really important reasons. First, to give you the backstory on how the collaboration between the Women's Fund Miami-Dade and these expert panelists from the 2020 Impact Collaboration on Heat and Women's Health grew into a powerful collaboration with these community experts, the City of Miami, and now the County too. After this insightful collaborative, the urgency to act was clear, and the Women's Fund was invited to bring panel experts to then present to the Climate Resiliency Advisory Committee to the City of Miami. Cutting-edge research collected by Human Rights Watch on extreme heat on the adverse birth outcomes, especially for women of color in urban heat zones, was then presented to City Emergency Manager Chief Robert Hevia, culminating into not only the addition of a gender lens to the health advisories, but also to the Women's Fund's creation of this public awareness campaign on how extreme heat affects all pregnancies. This campaign will now go live this May 28th, National Heat Awareness Day. The campaign will focus on awareness of the dangers of extreme heat to pregnant women, especially what we can do about it. We can be really proud of Miami-Dade County and this innovative effort to address emerging needs and get ahead of the curve and do it together. And now, it is my honor and extreme privilege to welcome a cultural icon, a two-time Academy Award winner and an Emmy Award-winning American actor, author, and activist, famous for a lot of films out there, especially on Golden Pond, 9 to 5, and the current Netflix smash series, I love the show, Grace and Frankie. She's as equally famous as being the founder of the Fire Drill Fridays, in partnership with Greenpeace USA, is a board member of V-Day, Until the Violence Stops, co-founder of the Women's Media Center, and just a beautiful advocate for all women on this planet. Her recently published book called What Can I Do? My Path from Climate Despair to Action is inspiring readers and action across the globe as we speak. Here now, the one, the only, the iconic, the renowned, and the beautiful, and just darn wonderful, fabulous person, Ms. Jane Fonda.
Greetings to all of you, and thank you so much for inviting me to speak to you today. I appreciate it because I care about Miami. I care about how our climate is connected to every single aspect of our lives. I care about the health and well-being of women and girls and families. And I know you do too. I listen to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. I listen to young people about the urgency to act, that we have just 10 years to cut our carbon emissions in half, and then until 2050 to move entirely away from fossil fuels to a green energy future. That is so important for us to understand. I listen when scientists, physicians, and social justice researchers tell us that extreme heat is adversely affecting pregnant people, pregnant women, and birth outcomes, especially for women of color. This is true because all too often, low-income communities and communities of color are where fossil fuel companies put their refineries and their petrochemical companies and their oil wells and fracking pits. They're called sacrifice zones. So I think that your Women's Fund and I have a lot in common. And that's why I'm with you here today. Collectively, you are on a mission that I share, to create a community where health and well-being, power and possibility aren't limited by gender, race, or socioeconomic status. It is essential to apply a gender lens to find solutions to most problems. And I see that you're doing that, and I congratulate you for that. You know, Miami is in a position to lead in both research and in action, and I'm thrilled to see that the Women's Fund Miami-Dade, in collaboration with your local government, community partners, and stakeholders, will be launching a major campaign on May 28th, National Heat Awareness Day, to drive life-saving calls to action on how we can and must provide care for mothers-to-be, to ensure that they have the tools, the knowledge, and the resources they need to empower themselves to be protected from the negative outcomes of extreme heat. It's just brilliant that the gender lens is being added to health advisories and that public and private sectors are working together. I understand that a lot more can be done and needs to be done. I look forward to hearing from you about what you've accomplished. I mean, you have some great activists and leaders in Miami, and frankly, we need more women in climate leadership. Women are leading climate. You know, in my Fire Drill Fridays, I always see that there are more women than by about 2/3, and they tend to be older women too. And it makes me very proud. Women are more affected, more impacted by the climate crisis. We bear the brunt of it, and we're also at the forefront of the solutions. So we need even more women in climate leadership positions. Maybe some of our greatest new leaders will come from your grade schools, right? High schools or your universities. You, for better or worse, you are at ground zero for climate change in the United States. And I, for one, want to see your beautiful city shine and thrive and survive, not just for myself, but for my grandchildren and theirs. You're also on the leading edge of the U.S. in being a beautiful melting pot of diversity and cultures, a rich and creative center from where I can envision better solutions arising. Solutions that address the needs of all of our citizens, inclusive and representative. I act when I see things that I cannot unsee. I learn from those who are most affected, and I try to follow their lead. And I imagine that you in the audience today, that you do this too. I mean, you are people who show up, and I thank you for that. So I ask you all to join me, roll up your sleeves, put on those gender lenses, and support the important work that must be done. And start, because the time is now, and it's all hands on deck, right? I look forward to a full report and the emerging issues and solutions you will share. But in the meantime, enjoy the work, enjoy the collaboration, and have a good time. There's no question that our lives are richer and that we're stronger when we work together. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best.
That is a great example of what can be accomplished when public and private sectors are working together for the good of our community. We need to constantly reiterate, identify gaps and needs, and then address them collectively, because no one can do it alone. We are on a collective grand mission, and all special ops need fuel. So now we'd like to take this opportunity to show you just how we can join forces.
You can shoot me with your words, you can cut me with your lies, you can kill me with your hatefulness, but just like life, I rise.
We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man.
May I hope this movement will spread throughout all branches of applied science and industry, and that women may come to share with men the joy of doing.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Working together, we can be stronger than either entity is by itself. So it's really healthy that we try to bring these things together.
Liftoff. Liftoff. 30 minutes after the
I'm wondering what's resonating with each of you here today. Well, there may be as many opinions as there are individuals here in this room, but I do know one thing for sure, is that we all belong together, because we belong to that group of people who show up, to that cadre of visionaries and believers who are self-confident enough to try, to achieve, and then to move on to the next challenge. Stronger together indeed. And your presence today is proof.
For my health, for the safety of my family, patients, and colleagues.
Because of my children and my parents and the love I have for them.
Special moments with my family mean everything to me. And because of that, I wear my mask.
So I please urge you to please take care of yourself. Wear your mask.
Your Women's Fund presents the Miami-Dade dashboard on the status of women and girls. Allow me to introduce you to Dr. Maria Ucheva. Maria is an expert researcher, and she can read data like you and I can read a book. She is building a great new instrument. It's in its early days, but pretty soon these widgets will turn into a dashboard on the status of women and girls. Maria is building it with data from the research done across our 4 main pillars that will tell us something really interesting about stories based on facts like these. Economic mobility. The 19.5% wage gap produces negative ripple effects on women's lifetime earnings and the economy. If equal pay were a reality, almost $4 billion would be added to the economy because of increased spending power. Wouldn't that be awesome? Pillar 2, freedom from violence. In 2019, there were 8,160 reported domestic violence offenses in Miami-Dade. Domestic violence offenses are likely underreported. When the pandemic hit, we got calls from the state attorney, the Coordinated Victims Assistance Center, and the domestic violence courts, telling us that victims needed to know that they were open and ready to help. So your Women's Fund worked collaboratively to do this very successful public awareness campaign. Thank you to everyone who identified the issue and helped spread the solutions. It worked. Pillar 3, leadership. Less than 30% of elected officials in Miami-Dade County are women. There is serious room for improvement, right? Pillar 4, health and well-being. Did you know that women are nearly twice as likely as men to be diagnosed with depression? Once we know these facts, then we can all get to working on something about them. Oh yes, this dashboard will tell important stories and create headline news. Why? Because there are people behind this research, and this dashboard will help our community partners, service providers, government officials, philanthropists, and volunteers alike to find the women and girls who are getting hurt when falling through the cracks. Ouch. And identifying those gaps and needs will be especially important for the Women's Fund to return to transformative grant making intended to help our grantees thrive. We'll be investing in our vision, a world where power and possibilities are not limited by gender. We can see it, can't you? Thank you for the sneak peek, Maria. We'll do our best to help you fuel it.
I'm so excited to introduce to you, who may not yet know her, a globally acclaimed speaker and visionary analyst of both research and human nature, our board vice chair, Arathi Ramappa.
You have heard about gender inequality in pay, inequality in leadership positions, and inequality in healthcare, and the list goes on. But did you know that there's gender inequality in data? What does that even mean? Well, today I'm here to help explain that. My name is Arathi Ramappa, and I am the vice chair of the board of the Women's Fund. Thank you for joining us today and supporting our organization, but more importantly, for supporting the women and girls of Miami-Dade County. You are the ones giving your time and energy to help the community. You are the ones creating an impact, and we are truly grateful for you. So what is gender inequality in data? Well, simply put, there isn't enough data on women and girls. There are gaps in data. Sometimes data is not consistently collected. Sometimes there are biases in data. And sometimes even when data is collected, it's not broken down by gender. And when data doesn't have a gender lens, it makes women and girls invisible. For example, We know that businesses have been negatively impacted by the pandemic. But how many of those businesses are women-owned businesses? Businesses have been receiving grants and loans, but how have women-owned businesses fared compared to businesses owned by men? Are there disparities there? What are the issues affecting women entrepreneurs? If we don't know the issues, how can we help them? And if we don't help them, what happens with economic mobility for women and girls? This is just one example of why we need the data. Gender inequality in data is such a big issue that when the UN talks about its sustainable development goal of gender equality across the world, it says that one of the impediments to gender equality is a lack of data. If we want to solve the issues and help move progress forward with women and girls, we need to have the right data. Because if we have a lack of data, it's like a surgeon trying to fix a badly broken leg without x-rays to see where the fractures are. But Melinda Gates says it best when she says, we cannot close the gender gap and aspire to close it like we want to if we don't first close the data gap. Here at the Women's Fund, our mission is to create change for women and girls through advocacy, investment, and collective impact. And the ways we do this is through our public awareness campaigns, our impact collaboratives, grant making, and our new endeavor in research. We have made research a new initiative because we want to tackle the problem of inequality in data. And we are extremely fortunate to have one of our board members, Dr. Maria Ilcheva of FIU, spearhead this initiative for us. Our goal is to create a dashboard of all the data on women and girls in Miami-Dade County. We want to work with community organizations to gather the data that's already there to create one space, a dashboard where the whole community can easily access all of this data. We want to look at the gaps in data and conduct research to close those gaps. We want to analyze the data to identify the current and emerging needs of women and girls. And we want to use this data to help guide our grant-making initiative. Our dashboard will help the public, private, and philanthropic sectors to collaborate together to work on solutions and investment. But more importantly, we want data to show the progress that organizations are making in our community. Yes, we want to close the gaps in data and narrow down and focus on the problem. But we also want data to showcase the achievements of our community organizations and the advancements they're making to help women and girls. We have big goals, and it will not happen overnight. But as our executive director, Maria Meyer, always says, dream big. We dream big here at the Women's Fund. And with the help with our amazing staff, our talented board, and you as our community partners and change makers, we will make this happen together because we can't do it without each other. We are stronger together, and like our motto says, women strong, world strong. Thank you for being here today. Enjoy the rest of the event, and we love you all.
Well, you've certainly given us so much to think about. Thank you so much for joining us today.
For the past year, the Women's Fund monthly impact collaboratives have offered cutting-edge insights on emerging issues, covering topics critical to health and well-being, leadership, economic opportunity, domestic violence, and human trafficking in times of COVID-19. Over 3,000 people attended these sessions as individuals or representing organizations from across South Florida and beyond, including elected officials, service providers, and private industry leaders. Inspiring speakers and expert panelists brought their ideas and insights to engage with our community. The Women's Fund is amplifying these voices through data collection, advocacy, participant surveys, and connecting people and organizations to develop ongoing partnerships. Join us the first Thursday of every month. Just sign up on our website to participate. This is your Women's Fund.
All right, so how is that bidding going? If you outbid me, you are forgiven. Your Women's Fund prides itself on being an exciting place for birds of a feather to flock together. And as all of you know who come to our impact collaboratives, we are never boring. There's so many of you here today in alignment, diverse and amazing, ready to not only be informed, but also entertained. So, to represent our economic mobility pillar, not only a brilliant entrepreneur, but also a fabulous author and entertainer, the eldest child of Rita and Bob Marley, Ms. Cedella Marley. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. First, I want to thank the Miami-Dade Women's Fund for inviting me to be a part of this great event, The Power of the Purse. How could I say no to an opportunity to be in the company, albeit virtually, of women from all walks of life with a common goal, finding ways of applying our collective influence to encourage, empower, and create opportunities for others. After all, as the daughter of Bob and Rita Marley, I grew up with living examples of how powerful one voice can be when it comes to amplifying and articulating societal and human conditions. Growing up in Jamaica, my parents taught us that once we believe in something and we're willing to put in the work, then no door or wall would be strong enough to keep us out. And throughout my life, I have put this principle to the test of time again and again. On stage, as a Grammy-winning artist and member of our family's group Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers, in boardrooms and sometimes courtrooms, as CEO of Top Gong and a managing director for Bob Marley Music. As an author, fashion designer, and of course, the role I have been asked to speak to you about today. My experience as global ambassador for the Jamaica Women's Football Program, that includes their historic achievements of becoming the first Caribbean national team to qualify for the FIFA Women's World Cup back in 2018. Like many amazing journeys, it started out on quite an ordinary afternoon 7 years ago when my youngest son Sese brought me home a flyer from his soccer coach that said, "The Reggae Girls need our help." I call and I ask two things. Who are the Reggae Girls? And what kind of help do they need? The answers to those two questions and the series of events that led us to France would take more than the time I've been allotted with you today. I'll say this much though. The Reggae Girls are some of the most talented athletes Jamaica, the birthplace of Usain Bolt and Bob Marley, has ever produced. Female soccer players with a passion for the game and determination to play, despite the absence of the most basic resources granted to the men's national team. Adequate housing, proper training gear, nutrition, medical care, qualified support staff, not to mention monetary compensation. The parity that Title IX here in America guarantees female athletes, at least on paper, is non-existent in most of the world, including Jamaica. What's more, because football is still seen largely as a man's game, there was no corporate or even community backing. In fact, had it not been for the support of Alacran and the Bob Marley Foundation's philanthropic organization headed by women, the Reggae Girls would not have been able to compete in the tournament that led to their historic qualification. Making it to the World Cup was groundbreaking, and it put the Reggae Girls on the global stage. But the truth is that, as we head into a new round of competition for the next Women's World Cup, the story back home has not changed much at all. One team made world history for an entire nation, and yes, it broke ground. But now, it's going to take the work of all of us to build an infrastructure on top of it that can support the legacy of girls coming after them. To close this out, I believe the point of my sharing this with you is that, much like the message in my father's music, the themes in the story are universal. Many of you here today have achieved groundbreaking success in your particular field and opened doors. And just like me and the Reggae Girls, you found out that it was only the beginning. With initiative, tenacity, and vision, we each earn a seat at the table of our choosing. And the reason we are all here today is because we know it's going to take a network of women working together to use these seats to create a better world where our children are free to explore their potential unhindered by gender, color, or socioeconomic background. I can only imagine the energy in the room, the power being generated by you all, and I am excited to see what comes next. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of this time together. One love.
Adventure is more than a place. It's also a state of mind. And if your mindset is all about exploring, you'll love the eco-adventures in Miami-Dade County parks. From water, to wildlife, to wonder. Find your own eco-adventure and come see Miami a little differently.
Shop for a cause. I know I already have. Isn't that a beautiful thing? This was my first anatomy top, but it definitely will not be my last. And I already have half of my holiday shopping done as well. Thanks to those of you who are able to participate. Hope you find something that you love.
I've got a question for you. What is family? Don't we have a friend we consider a sister or brother? We know that family goes beyond biology. It's about being there for each other in tough times, celebrating successes, and sharing important moments. It's about committing, supporting, and trusting each other unconditionally. Family is more than a word. It is love, care, and time. Foster hope, foster love, foster family. Become a foster parent.
See this bold W? For me, that is a symbol of our collective power. We have the luxury of the support of many of our elected officials, and we have many of them here today. We also have their attention. We thank you from the bottom of our Women's Fund hearts for being with us here. We know that the next time that you see our gold and bold W, you will envision the power of the purse and everyone here behind it.
In a time of an upheaval will come a transformation, ignite a fire that will burn like the sun, become a strong movement, fierce and determined, informed by where we are and where we've come from. We are those who are rising from Manila to Miami, building trust